call, please.
Gary Bailey,
Here.
John Dewey,
Here.
Deborah Potter,
Here.
Kevin Whipple,
Here.
Bill Ernstis.
Here. Approval of the agenda, I had made one revision to it and reissued it, that was Mr. Trippett's gonna be on the agenda. Anybody see anything that needs to be changed, added, deleted, or approved?
I move we accept the agenda as published.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes sent out? Any additions or corrections?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
John, financial report, please.
All right, financial report. Financial report for the Greensburg Municipal Airport. We've got the three accounts. In our airport improvement account, $15,814.18. Aviation ordinary fuel, $80,206.44. Airport operations account, $362,206.37. The total of all three accounts combined is $458,226.99. You'll notice on the aviation fuel sales, we know they had another big week selling a lot of Jet A. There was a lot of crop dusting going on through the last 2 months actually. So more fuel sales and more income, or more sales tax we pay also. So,
I'll let you know on the portion of Jackson County Bank, I had problems with my password, and I've got to call them tomorrow and get it changed back to get back in again. So I'll get the information, I'll email it to you. But
Okay.
I don't think there's any problem with it.
gotcha.
Okay. Mr. Shaffer, would you like to do an update on the construction?
Yeah, we have three action items for you this evening with respect to the ongoing project. One's to get you your federal money back, and one's to pay the contractor, and then one's a change order that had to do with some of the field tile connections out there, and I think we're beyond that now, so we'll just take them step by step. Number one is for AIP 16, partial pay request number 8, in the amount of $724,223.87, which is federally funded, and this covers the next action item, and as well as the BF&S inspection invoices over the last month.
Do we need any discussion on that?
I'll move we approve to pay AIP 16, partial pay number 8 in the published amount.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the next one is a motion to approve contractor progress estimate number 6 for HIS constructors in the amount of $696,484.65 so this is pay the contractor out of that previously approved amount.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve the contractor's progress estimate number 6 in the amount $696,484.65.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Okay. The last item is change order number 1, and we're doing pretty good to get to progress estimate number 6 and not have any change orders yet. So this change order is for $8,534, or 0.02% of the total construction cost, so it's pretty small. But it is now, basically this covers all of the field tile connections that were encountered throughout. We're beyond any of the opportunities to hit any further field tiles. All the major, our major tiles are installed now, so we're not gonna be we don't have any further deep excavation, so we're beyond that part. So we wanna just clean this part up so that we can get it off of, and onto the next contractor's pay progress estimate.
And I just had a quick question, I just wanna make sure I understood exactly. They didn't know where these tiles were, and so they found them as they were doing the excavating, and that's the
Correct.
reason for the change.
Correct.
Okay.
We had a map on the Beggs property of where all the tiles were. Mr. Beggs was kind enough to provide that in advance of construction, but we did not have a map of any of the other field tiles. That was not made available to us. So we kinda had to wait until we dug,
Right.
and then when we encountered them, we had an agreed upon allotment, but we didn't know if we'd hit 1 or 20.
Right.
And so that's what this is for.
And we had asked for field tile maps before construction. I'd actually written to the attorneys for these folks, the landowners. The only ones that had one were Beggs.
Did the others have them and just not make them available? or they
Well,
didn't
we
have
were told they didn't have them.
Okay.
Now, whether that's, we
I
don't know
got you.
whether it's accurate or not, but
Sure.
I would assume it is.
Okay.
Well, if we got into a lot of old clay tile, they probably didn't have them, to be honest, because they weren't mapped very well back then.
Well, get on a soapbox. I think anytime you put in a field tile, there ought to be a requirement that you record something so that people know where it is.
I'm not gonna disagree with that, but, you know.
It's not the way it is today.
So it's a relatively small amount. There's no, I think we'll have some underruns on some other items, so I'm not even concerned that we're even gonna have to amend the existing grant right now. But if we do, we'll have one more change order for sure, called the final balancing change order. There could be something else that pops up between now and the end, but we're getting less and less likely as the project moves on. But at the end, the final balancing change order, some things will be under, some things will be over. They kind of balance that all out. So right now, even if we had to ask for a grant amendment, this is such a small amount, there'd be no issues getting that approved.
I'll make the motion to approve change order 1 for HIS contractors in the amount of $85.34.
I second.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed.
Okay, yeah, the contractor is still a little behind because of that rainstorm back in June, and they had to basically spend 30 days putting their work back in place. So they're gonna be pressed right up against winter. They've had good weather here, right up until this recent series of rain events, but, and so they have made some ground up. But Zach reports that basically they're gonna be really pushing right up into winter. They will likely have to come back and do some seeding and restoration in the springtime. So, we'll just have to see how far they go, get done. But as soon as the weather looks like it's gonna start to turn in November, they'll seed the entire site, regardless of whether they've done or not, because that's a requirement of the erosion control plan. And then they'll probably be back in the springtime to do some final grade and seed to clean it all up. So, on the paving and lighting portion of the project, the normal AIP grant, needs to come before the end of September to get normal AIP funding. We're running out of days on that. We're not giving up hope, but we're definitely out of days there. So we're really switching our ask over to supplemental funds. There are, the FAA has $400 million in supplemental funds that they can distribute from. Indiana's gotten a lot of money this year, but it's just one of those deals where it's a moving target. So we're gonna keep pushing. I'm confident that this is gonna be finished. I'm just having a little bit of issue on the exact, getting the exact grant timing nailed down. So the next, if it gets funded with supplemental, we would expect to see an announcement around April is when they made the announcement this last year. So that would be the next milestone. If we don't see something by the end of the month, we're probably looking at April. So that's kind of where we're there, and I know we're all we can see the end, and we're right there, so don't give up hope. I'm sure it's gonna happen. We just gotta keep waiting. Otherwise, that concludes my report. That Dave O'Meara did, the bid hold expires this month with Dave O'Meara Contracting. They have agreed to hold their bid at least for the remainder of this fiscal year, or this calendar year. And they'll look at holding their bid into next season, depending on what the asphalt prices do. If they're able to keep asphalt about the same price, then they'll honor their bid through next season, which will save us some time on re-advertising for sure. So that's our report for today.
Okay. Mr. Cribbin, your
Yeah.
turn. Sir.
Good meeting so far, as long as I don't slow it down, right?
Well,
Yeah, I wanted to, I've talked about some of these eminent domain actions before and what the status was. But since there's one action item I'm gonna get to here at the end, but I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to kind of go back over the others and just kind of update you on where we stand. Remember, there were 4 must-have properties in order to start the project. The Beggs property, the Goddard Trust property, Haston, and in Sturchy. And the first three Beggs, Goddard, and Haston are all represented by the same attorney, a fellow by the name of Phil Seaver, and then Sturchy's represented locally. We had submitted some interrogatories, being written questions. I don't know if you've ever had any occasion to deal with those, but there's basically 3 different types of discovery items to try to discover the other party's side of the case, and there's really 3 different options, and one of those is the interrogatory. So we'd submitted interrogatories to all 4 of those primary defendants, and we will the others later, but we had done the 4 so far, and we've learned that none of them has yet retained an appraiser to testify on their behalf in connection with the litigation. I think it'd be difficult to try a case from the standpoint of a landowner without an appraiser to assist. But so far, none of them has retained an appraiser. Now, that doesn't mean they haven't consulted with one, but they're not ready at this point anyway, because they wouldn't have to tell us that. But they're not ready at this point to declare an appraiser to testify. So I had been in contact with Mr. Sturchy's attorney, and we've been talking about if there was any way to resolve matters, and he kind of think could really get an answer out of his client. So I ended up in here a few weeks ago, and I think I sent out an email to all of you, but just so I'm repeating, but I ended up filing a motion asking for the judge to set that one for a trial, and also give us some deadlines for a discovery cutoff, and also for exchange of witness and exhibit lists. And that really forces we attorneys, who tend to put things off sometimes, to actually come forward and say, well, here's what we're intending to do. And the reason that I did it in the Sturchy case and not in the other 3 is because we had some discovery still pending us in the other 3 cases. We're now, they'll just sign answers and interrogatories tonight. We'll be getting those out tomorrow. So the judge ended up setting a trial date of January 24th of 2002, which frankly was sooner than I thought it would be. But it is January 24th, 2022. When I sent out the email, I did not know that he was going to actually sign another order, also giving us a discovery cutoff and a date deadline for exchange of witnesses and exhibits. So he's now done that. November 1 of this year is the deadline for declaring your witnesses and exhibits, and December 1 is the discovery cutoff. And so I would anticipate at least 2 depositions in that case. I think I need to take Mr. Sturchy's deposition, and I'm going to need to take an appraiser's deposition once they tell us who that appraiser is going to be, who their expert appraiser is going to be. And so that's where we are on that one. I will also be filing similar motions for the judge to set dates in the other three cases after tomorrow, after I send out our responses to the discovery that they sent to us. The attorney for the three, this Mr. Seaver, has asked me if we would be interested in mediating the case. I don't know if any of you have ever been through a mediation process. Mediation is not like arbitration, where it's a forced decision. Mediation is where you get a licensed mediator to sit down with the parties. It's kind of an interesting process that I'm not totally crazy about, but it is what it is. And the mediator will put one set of parties in one room and one set in the other, and he goes back and forth to see if there's a chance of getting a case settled. I told Mr. Seaver in response to his request that we were interested in mediating. I said, well, we haven't even heard a demand from you yet. So I don't know what you're even looking for. You know, if you've got a demand, I'd be more than happy to listen to it. And we don't have one. So here's, I think, because it's going to be problematic, I think, to try to settle some of these anyway, with regard to the in a mediation process. One of the interrogatories that we submitted to the landowners was, tell us what you think your damages are. Well, I'll just go through and kind of give you a comparison, and one of these numbers is way off of what I told you earlier. With regard to the Beggs property, the airport had offered Mr. and Mrs. Beggs $574,000 for the property that we are appropriating from them. They came back with their interrogatory answers, and they've stated that they think that they're entitled to $880,825, plus another $100,000 for cost of cure, which basically is drainage. I don't know, they're all, I think, getting the same drainage person. It just happens to be Mr. and Mrs. Beggs' son. And they've got a $100,000 figure there, so you look at their total, they're thinking, at this point anyway, $980,825, which is a good bit higher than our offer. Mr. and Mrs. Hastings, we had offered $366,000 for the fee simple property we're appropriating from them, and $4,700 from easement, so $370,700. And the answers to interrogatories they gave us indicated they thought they were entitled to $1,187,614, plus another $31,344 for the drainage work that they think they're going to need. So again, we're even further off on that one. And then on Goddard, we'd offered $667,875. He's not yet given us a figure what he thinks he's entitled to, or what the Goddard Trust is entitled to, so we don't know. And then Sturchy, we had offered $229,300, and he's also indicated that he has not yet determined what he thinks he's entitled to. So, part of the reason you file a motion is to kind of move things ahead. I mean, we're kind of spinning our wheels. We have been waiting on some figures from the other side. I also told Mr. Seaver, the attorney for three of them, that even if we did mediate, I didn't think it was going to be much value to mediate if we didn't even know what their appraiser was going to say. We'll see what they do when they finally get around to identifying one. So that's kind of the status of the four that were the initial appropriation complaints. Then I think I've told you this, but we had the Robbins Trust where we're acquiring 2.474 acres in an easement, aviation easement, and a fee simple title to 1.557 acres. Our appraiser appraised the easement at $26,000, and which I think is generous, but and then the fee fee simple acquisition at $23,355. We received no response to that. So as you, I think, should know, I think I was thinking sent out an email. Sometimes I get busy and forget what I've done, what I haven't. But we filed a lawsuit on August 13, 2021. They had 30 days to object to the taking. Again, just to refresh memory, there's two aspects to any eminent domain case. The first is the taking aspect, and the second is the damages aspect. The attorney for the Robbins family ended up and agreed to waive any objection to the taking. And so we ended up filing with the court a stipulation that the court should go ahead and proceed with the interlocutory order of condemnation and appoint appraisers, which the court did. He appointed William O. Smith, the retired attorney from here, Larry Colson, who's an appraiser here in town, and Rick Borges. I'm not familiar with Mr. Borges, B-O-R-G-E-S. I'm not familiar with him. But he has appointed them, and he has put in his order that they need to get their appraisal filed by November 1 of this year. I ended up last week and got an email from Mr. Smith, who asked for a number of documents. He sent me that email on Thursday. I responded the same day. He wanted a copy of the complaint, he wanted a copy of the survey, and that type of thing. So he had all that as of mid-afternoon on Thursday. So and we'll see how it works. They did kind of drag things out a little bit that last round of appraisals, so we'll see what happens. But the judge did set a November 1 deadline. And then finally, and this is the one that is going to that I'm going to be asking for some action on behalf of your board. Dennis Dickman property. We need a navigation easement over 6.733 acres, and the appraisal for that 6.733 acres came back at $22,750, which again I think is generous, but that's not my job. That's the appraiser's job. So I had a title search done on the property, and which I always do before I filed, $150 I think for a title search. But otherwise you end up filing your complaint and finding out later that there's somebody you should have named it and you didn't. So it's been my practice to go ahead and do the title search. And it did come back. Mrs. Dickman has passed away. So it's Dennis is her husband. And it turns out that they actually deeded what's called the remainder interest over their daughter, Sarah Saylor. So what we'll do is we will make any offer we make will go to both the life estate, which is in the name of Dennis Dickman, and Sarah Saylor, which is the remainder interest holder. And the law doesn't require us to try to break that down. We give the total offer, and you know, if they were to accept it, they'd have to work it out between themselves who got what. Which I can't imagine in a family situation like that would be an issue anyway. But it just from the legal standpoint, we're not required to try to break it down for them. So what I'm asking for tonight is for the board to authorize me to make an offer in the amount of $22,750 to Mr. Dickman and his daughter. And the last time you did it, which I think saves you a meeting, is if you go ahead and you authorize me to make the offer, and you also authorize me to proceed with the filing an eminent domain complaint if the offer isn't accepted within the 30 days, which is what state law requires.
To clarify, that's all for airspace navigation.
Yes,
Nothing
exactly.
simple on that, right?
Right.
Okay.
$22,750, and it's all navigation easement, correct?
Okay. I would move that we would do those authorizations for $22,750 and authorize Mr. Trivett to do the eminent domain if the offer is not accepted.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
Approved.
Thank you. and I like your new facilities here, this is nice. So, that's all I have.
Okay. Jerry?
Okay, well, the airport's been running smoothly like we want to. Like John said a while ago, fuel sales have been good. We got tanker load coming in Wednesday for gas, for down where we need some more of that. And there's been some hangar changes going on. One tent left and a couple others. We have a couple hangar changes, that way we get new tents in. And another on the horizon, another guy sold his airplane. As soon as it becomes airworthy, it'll make another hangar available. So we've still got people on the list, 3 or 4 yet waiting to come in. But all in all, everything's operating the way we want to.
All right. Mowing equipment's still on here, not that we need to talk about, but I need to ask Paul a question about it. The other day, I took a ride with HIS, and they were talking about the grass that they have seeded might need to be mowed, and they said that would be the airport's responsibility to mow it this time. Is that right, or would it be theirs?
It's their responsibility up until final acceptance, but
Okay.
once you accept a project, then it will become the airport's responsibility.
Okay.
So there could be, depending on when the next grant comes, there could be a window on when that mowing needs to happen prior to the next contract taking place. And even at that, the next contract, the paving limits are gonna be much narrower. So if you'll picture, the construction limits are only about 30 feet outside of the new pavement footprint. Well, your site's a lot wider than that.
Right.
So even after the next contract, all of that ground outside of that little area where we're gonna actually put the physical pavement will be the airport's responsibility.
Okay. I was gonna let that, I want that clarified, that we need to look at, either find somebody to mow it when the time comes,
Yeah.
or getting them over, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be this year, because like
Yeah.
we talked about, the contractor's gonna be working right up until winter, and they'll probably have to come back a little bit in the spring, but I would say sometime summer, like June or July, you probably ought to look to be mowing outside of the 30-foot construction area anyway.
Well, Jerry, do you think that will be suitable for hay? The fellow that does it on the present airport would do it?
Whatever they're sowing is good feed for hay, you know. I guess they're gonna sow something the cows will eat.
Let me look at that before, the reason I'm hesitating is, I can't recall, I'll look it up and tell you after the meeting. Sometimes the FAA spec that, it's called an endite infected fescue, and the endophyte is it's basically an enzyme in the grass that makes the geese not want to land there. But if you
Okay.
feed that to cows, it'll make their bellies upset. And so, I have to see which, if we use that seed on this, you won't wanna make hay out of it.
Okay. All right, that answers that question.
Well, as far as in the future though too, we're gonna be required at maximum heights, we can let stuff grow because of wildlife. As I recall, they've done a wildlife study back before this all started and said, you know, once we got going, there'd be like a 13-inch limit to height or something, so that wouldn't be tall enough really for hay anyhow.
Yeah, that's inside the object free area. Once you get outside the object free area, it won't matter as much, but yeah, there are different height limits on the grass, yeah. So outside that object free area, some airports are cutting it.
Is other crops available to be planted in those areas outside that object-free area?
Yeah, but, I mean, because the land acquisition process we followed, we didn't buy a lot of extra outside object free area.
Okay.
We basically bought,
That much?
yes, to the object free area
Okay.
because of, since it was a taking, we didn't buy it extra.
Okay. much as that.
How many acres
Yeah.
are we looking at actually mowing? Does anybody know?
Do what?
How many acres we are actually looking at mowing?
It's, well, the total new acquisition of fee simple was 152-ish, plus or minus the pavement area of about 13 acres, so,
140 acres,
yeah.
basically.
Well, some of it will be the retention ponds, which probably won't be mowed. Well, if they have to be mowed, we're gonna have to have something to go up and down the hills. Goats.
Goats. Yeah, no, I mean, your tractor should be able to mow the retention areas. They're all tiled in the bottom, and I would suggest mowing them as best you can, because, the vegetation, if you don't mow them at least 3 or 4 times a year, they can get pretty unruly.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussions on that? If not, let's go to payment of the bills. We have presented to us $524,307.55. John, you went through it, did you?
Yep,
find
went
it?
through it, put them on the spreadsheet here. The only thing, a little bit extra, you'll notice we got the insurance payments, which are right at the very top of September 21, and they're very comparable to the last time we made these payments. You'll see back in August of 2020. Everything else looks pretty, it's kind of right in line here. We don't see any payment from Frontier. So we'll probably have 2 payments next, showing on the
Okay.
thing next week, so.
I did tell the insurance company that we should get a discount for having to watch that Liberty Mutual insurance ad on television. But it didn't make any
You
difference.
don't like that big bird?
Oh.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the bills? I'll accept the motion to pay.
I move we pay the bills as listed.
I second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay. Any comments from the board or the audience? If not, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Next meeting, October 25th.